So today, of course, I'm going to talk about the news and what's going on in the world, but I'm going to start off by talking about this movie that I saw on Amazon called Trump Nation on the Trail with a GOP Frontrunner, which is by a Business Insider, and which sort of it's very short. It's 21 minutes. It gives you a very condensed look at the supporters of Trump as well as some of his policies as seen from the people on the campaign trail, and it definitely gives a better insight into what's behind the people who got Trump elected, and how these large groups of people think of Trump and think of they think of him as somebody who's just speaks his mind and does says whatever. And in a world where everyone's politically correct and afraid to say anything, that actually seems like that is actually a good thing, right? So even though some of his policies obviously not all of his supporters agree with, they all agree that they want somebody on there who's going to take on Wall Street and do these things, and at least says it. Whether or not he does it, the question, but the fact that he said it means a big thing in a slew of candidates that won't say anything about how Wall Street has destroyed the nation, how the nation is crumbling, and they just want to talk it's going well, and the or warmongering against China and Russia, and the Democratic Party suddenly got all hawkish with Hillary Clinton. Maybe Bernie Sanders would have been different, but with Hillary, we got very hawkish in regards to Putin and regards to Xi Jinping. So the movie follows him and talks about some of his policies. Talks about his claim to build the wall, claim to his fights on he talks about immigration and let's see here. Like they label his 3 conservative viewpoints as immigration, military power, and gun rights. So, for me, it's the other two. Military power and gun rights are sort of like, this is not the key issues. This is just sort of sticking points for Republicans. It's not, obviously military power in a world where China, Russia, and many of the third world are developing themselves to be powerful rights in and of themselves, means that it's not necessarily bad to have military power in the United States. It's not really but huge amounts of spending in that area is not going to do us a lot of good either. So sort of just like can be good, can be bad. Depends on what exactly is being entailed. As far as gun rights, I don't think that having a gun will create the political change that is will save the country from having a political change towards the most dire. That said, it's fun. It's one of those a basic right, and if you my basic point is that if you've waited to the point where they're going to take away your gun, you're going to have to fight them off with guns in order to protect your rights as a nation. You've probably already lost. And so, fighting to keep the guns is fine. People, some people, there should be, some militias and whatnot, or people, but it's not, the nation cannot depend on that, and Republicans should not, say, okay, well, I'm going to wait until I'm holed up in a bunker with a year's worth of rations and my, one trusty, musket to change the nation. At that point, it's too late. But then, let's see if I can get this without the volume. Yeah, let's check that. But then on his supposed liberal views, rebuild infrastructure and keep Social Security and Medicare. Right, so he's talking about, these are, one of the things that's been talked about is this idea of, Trump thinks big, why not think big with real development, with real infrastructure? And that's something like that would really kickstart the real economy and do a lot of good for, everyone in the nation, And Social Security and Medicare are useful. They're good. We should keep them. We should expand them. And under Obamacare, they've been, cut down, and the costs have been increased, and it's really, yeah. And so him repealing that is not, as the liberal, as sometimes I think the liberals might see it as, oh, he's repealing all health care. He's going to take away our health care. It's like, no, that's not what he's saying. He's saying, we have to rebuild the system. We have to take it away from the HMOs and give it back to, the people, or give it back to people who will see the interests not for profit, but for the citizenry, for the citizens. So those things are good. Those things are useful, or at least, and that's the impression you get from this, that the people that even though he says some stuff that's very off-putting, he's always willing. He wants to get things done, and he's willing to make deals, but he wants to get things done. All right, so that's the point. That for the past 16 years we've had presidents who have been do-nothing presidents, who have done nothing and just sort of allowed the ship to sail towards destruction, and it's been like, Congress will take care of it, my cabinet will take care of it. And it'd be good to have someone who will take charge and move us, especially if they're moving us in a direction that's good. So we'll see. But what else was I going to talk about? Oh, I was going to say that in regards to why Trump won the election, I think there's a value in people see that sometimes more good can come from a bad person trying to make good than from a good person trying to do nothing, which is what Hillary was. She was trying to get elected, right? All her talks about raising the minimum wage. That is not going to fix the economy, right? It's something you might do while you're building major development projects that would actually fix the country, but it's not in and of its. I mean, it's just a catchphrase at this point. It doesn't have any significance as far as how getting the nation moving again. So at this point you have this idea that, okay, he's got a big mouth. He's said some bad things. He's obviously not afraid to run his mouth off, but he wants to do something good. He sees the destruction that's caused, that's happened in America especially over the past 8 years with Obama, and he wants to undo that and rebuild the country. And if he's doing it, with some FDR style projects, then that's going to have a real effect. So hopefully that'll be what actually happens. Now, with regards to the news and what's going on in the world, more of the Helga Zeppelin gave a call for, or was talked about Merkel and her running for president of Germany, and how this is just not going to function, and Germany needs a change. Germany should move and work with Russia. That not working with Russia is hurting Germany and the people in Germany, and there's no reason for it. The sanctions aren't really significantly debilitating Russia from doing what it needs to do to improve the quality of life in its people, or to change their government or whatever, right? Whatever the intent is of the people who are doing it. It's and Russia's still going to do what it's going to do, and Germany should be a part of that, if that to the extent that that part is going to be developing and improving its own quality of life. And you see that with the French presidential candidate Fillon. He vowed to start having a dialogue with Russia. You've had other Europeans call for arms talks with Russia. This is and then you have Russia and China moving towards Latin America, developing their nuclear power. They're working together on space, and building a vaccine production plant in Ecuador, which is something that Russia is doing. So there are many things that are happening around the world in this new paradigm, moving towards space, moving towards development, and it's it's a good thing. The U.S. should be a part of it. Germany should be a part of it. So that's what I'm going to say for today. I think there's probably a lot more I could talk about with the news, but this video is already long enough. So good night, and see you tomorrow.